Hello, welcome back to the Operation Amigos podcast. I'm super excited to have Rex Ogle with me today. Rex, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh man, this is crazy. This is like, I don't know. You're just you're a really big deal in the kidlet
I'm
world.
not at all. I don't want
You
people to say that.
are. You
But I'm going to
are.
get to Texas.
Well, I'm super honored that you're joining me. I just want to read your bio real quick because you just have a lot of cool things that everybody needs to know about. So here we go. Rex
Okay.
Ogle is an award-winning author of more than 100 books. What? Comics, graphic novels, and memoirs, most notably Free Lunch, winner of awards. Abuela, Don't Forget Me, winner of also awards. Road Home, also a winner of awards. And middle grade graphic novels, Four Eyes and Pizza Face. Under his pseudonym Ray Terciero, he also reimagines classics as modern and diverse graphic novels. I love this, including Meg, Joe, Beth, and Amy, North Ranger. Is that Northanger Abbey? Yeah.
Yep.
Also an award winner. And Dan in Green Gables. What? That is so cool. I love Anne of Green Gables. So yeah, this is something I have to read. Is that one out?
Dating Cables?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just
Oh,
came
it
out
is.
last year. And the next year is Count of Monte Cristo Pie.
Oh my gosh, Count of Monte Cristo, it's probably my favorite classic.
So you
So,
see the art so good. I mean,
I can't wait.
for the art, but the artist is amazing. It's
That's
incredible.
incredible. I can't wait. You were born and raised in Texas, and you now live in LA, where you
Yeah.
write every day when you're not reading X-Men, gaming with friends, or chasing your dog Toby trying to score a hug.
He is not a cuddler.
I feel that too. My dog Greta is not either, and my husband is her favorite, and I'm the
Same.
extra. I'm the spare. So, well, okay, Rex. So let me tell you the reason I was so set on asking you to be on the podcast. I started this new series called Why Did They Come? And the whole point of the series is to talk about our ancestors and why they came to wherever we are today, right? But specifically this country. And I was reading your book, Abuela, Don't Forget Me, which, oh my gosh, so many emotions, this is a memoir, right? This is about you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
And
about me and my abuela, both of us.
yes,
It's very much a love letter to her, to
yes,
the one who I always say kept me alive in a sense, because without her, I mean, I don't want to say dead and ditched or locked up in prison for dealing drugs or, you know, shot in some kind of weird situation. But I do feel like I will not be here if not for her.
wow.
She guided me, from circumstances that were not ideal to she put me. She put books in my hands, number one. But she always pushed me to chase my dreams, get an education. Yeah.
That's
Sorry,
beautiful.
I can't talk about her for the next
No, I'm
hour.
glad. I'm glad
Last
because that's
question.
exactly the point. I felt it so much. I have my own abuela. Well, I call her abuelita. Did you call your grandma abuela? Was it abuela?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
abuela.
Oh,
Cool.
yeah.
And so my she's not around anymore, my abuelita, but yeah, I had feelings about that. But the thing that just hit me so hard was sometimes our past, sometimes the people who are supposed to be taking care of us are not taking care of us. And in your case, that was a really heartbreaking part of it was your mom and the way that you were not the most important thing to her. So my question is, do you feel that even if our family histories are sad, even if they are tragic, do you still feel like it's important to, and why? Do you feel like it's important, and why do you feel it's important to know where we come from, and why we're here?
It's so when I was a kid, there that adage, if we don't know our history, we repeat it. Um, that always stuck with me, and I was like, that's a fascinating thing. Uh, and growing up, my mom was very abusive. My dad, took off when I was 5 and paid very little attention to me except on the occasional phone call. I would see him once a year on vacation. But basically, my parents brought me into the world and wanted very little to do with me. I was more pain in the butt. Sorry, I was not to cut.
You're like, "What word should I use?"
Um, I think I was more a burden to them than I was a gift, and that's fine. They had me when they were kids. They did the best they could. But my parents had me when they were kids. They were young. I think my mom was 18 and my dad was like 19. Uh, they didn't know what they were doing. I don't. My mom kind of tricked my dad into having me, so that's a whole other story.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, but, my mom was very abusive, my dad was very distant, and as I got older and I started to, like, investigate, because I hated them. I mean, as a teenager, I hated them. I hated my mom, I hated my
Yeah.
dad. I was like, "Y'all brought me into this world, and then you totally abandoned me, um, emotionally, physically, etcetera." But then I started, like, asking questions and, like, reaching out to distant like, aunts and uncles and, being like, "What is wrong with my parents?" And as I started to learn more, like I learned about my mom's history and my mom's dad's history and my dad's dad's history and my dad's mom's history. And the farther I went back, like with my mom in particular, I hated her because I lived with her and she was so physically violent. But I also loved her because she was my mom.
Yeah.
But yeah, my aunt told me things about what her dad did to her. And then I hated my grandfather who died in Vietnam, so I've never met.
You never knew
Um,
him.
so I hated him for a while, but then I started doing more research. I love history. I started doing
Yeah.
more research on him, and he was passed around from foster home to foster home to foster home
Oh,
in
wow.
the 1940s, which uh, I mean, I can't even imagine what it was like back then because basically his mom went to a mental institution and her 3 kids went in the foster care system, and his sisters got to stay together while he was shipped from home to home to home,
Oh,
so it's
on
like,
his own.
well, he was horrible to my mom because people were horrible to him, and then I was like, "Wait, what was his mom? Why was she in the asylum?" And then it's like, there were people who, like, robbed banks and committed suicide and were schizophrenic, and I'm like, "Wow, this is quite the history that I
Oh,
have."
wow. Yes, you see reasons for
Yes.
things that maybe happened that
Yeah,
were not okay.
and then there's my abuela who, because that was all in America, whereas my abuela, came from Mexico, and her parents, had, like, no money whatsoever, and they had, like, goats and chickens in the yard, and when it was cold outside, the goats and chickens would come inside to sleep with the kids because they all slept on the floor in a dirt room one-room shack with metal roofs and outdoor plumbing. There was no plumbing, there was an outhouse.
Right. Yep.
Um, like, I have all these different backgrounds that have all come and formed me, and I feel like it's so important for kids to know where they're coming from because it's so easy as a teenager to so blindly and quickly hate someone because they're horrible to us. But when you start to consider the source, when you start to go into the family history and you learn about, well, why is your mom like that? Why why does she behave like this? Why is she hurtful to you? Why is she emotionally withdrawn? And it's fascinating. And I think it's those kind of questions that you have to ask, and if you don't ask, then you're just hating blindly, and that's what's going on in our country right now, is there's so much
Yeah.
intolerance and racism, and I'm like, "Really? I just don't understand it." I've never been
Yeah.
racist because my mom, for all her faults, and she had many, she was not racist. In fact, she
Oh,
she used to smack me around if she was like, "You think you're better than other people? I'm gonna set you
I'm gonna
correct."
show you.
And
Yeah.
she was right, and
Yeah.
yeah. She
Well,
always tells me, she's like, "When you go to McDonald's, when you have a bagger at the grocery store bagging your groceries, if you have an old man driving your bus, you treat them with respect. You say, 'Yes, sir,' 'No, ma'am,' like, you are so nice to them." And then she would be like, "Oh, but you don't have to do that with people in authority." She's like, "Police officers, your parents, like,
how interesting. That
be
is
res
so interesting, isn't it?
be respectful to the people who make minimum wage," but
Right.
she's
Yeah.
like, "You can say whatever you want to your father, he's a piece of"
Wow.
Yeah.
So I love that even with how horrible your mom was to you, you still are able to find something good about her, in that
Yeah.
she taught you to be good to the people that are down here on the,
100.
in life in society, which I think is so important. Um, and something that you said about the kids needing to know where they come from and not just hating blindly. Some people will say, "Well, does every villain have to have a backstory?" Right? Like, that's a
Yes.
thing that now coming up, like, movies about all the villains, right? And why they are what they are. And some people will say, "Well, that gives them an excuse for," but what are your thoughts on that? Like, is it an excuse? Does it make it okay? Or what's the difference between excusing someone or just giving them a reason for what they're doing?
My thing is I like to look at everything kind of anthropologically because I love National Geographic growing up. I read the magazines, I watched the
Check this
movies.
out, check this out, check this out. These are all bound copies of 1940s National
What?
Geographics that
I
my husband's, grandpa left to him. So, anyway,
love it.
keep going.
That's the thing is, like, if you look at things from, like, I don't wanna say evolution, but, like, from an animal kingdom kinda situation, you see like, it's so easy to hate a tiger or sorry, a lioness, for murdering the gazelle, the beautiful, beautiful gazelle. But then when she drags the carcass back to her cubs, it's like, oh, like she did a
She
bad
has to
thing.
feed
She didn't
them.
want to feed them. Like, I
Yeah.
get that. And then it was things like English teachers who gave me books like Tess of the Dubervilles, where it's like, you know, Tess was in a hard place. Her dad was dead. Her mom lost her mind. She had five brothers and sisters. Yes, she was a little bit of a sex worker because she had to feed her family. Like, it's not, it's so easy to pass judgment on people without acknowledging their difficulties and where they come from. And it's so easy to say, well, like in When We Ride, my book about, my senior year in high school. Well, it's not a memoir, it's fiction, but it's 70% true.
It's
But
based on
my
true.
best friend was a drug dealer, and everyone's like, he's a bad person. And I was like, no, he's not. Like he's taking care of his mom and his brother. He's paying the bills. I was like, they're like, well, he's failing society. I'm like, no, society failed him first. Like
Mm,
the backstories are important. I mean, I grew up on X-Men, and then X-Men Magneto was the big bad guy, but Magneto was a survivor of the Holocaust and watched everyone he knew, including his mom, his dad, his little sister,
yeah.
murdered by Nazis. And when he discovered he was a mutant, he's like, I will never, never let that happen again. And so,
Wow.
yes, he was
Yeah.
a bad guy, and yes, he blew people up,
Right.
but he was doing it because he did not want a Holocaust to happen again.
Right. Backstories matter. I love that. I love that line. Backstories matter a lot.
Agreed.
Wow. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So your your abuela, was she the first one to come to this country from Mexico, or did someone before her come?
So I think I don't know the exact timeline. I think what happened was her family moved from Rancho Nuevo to Nuevo Laredo. Uh, and I don't know if she was the first, but I think it was her older sister, Pawnee, because she had 13 brothers and sisters. So I don't know all the names. But she was closest with Pawnee, who I think was 2 or 3 years older than her. And I think Pawnee came over first to clean houses. And my grandmother started coming with her. And so they were only like 15, 15 or 16, and they would come across the border every single day from Nuevo Laredo to Laredo, Texas, to clean
Mm,
houses, to do maid work, to, sew, to do laundry. Like, they were doing the most menial task, but they would go back and forth across the border every single day. Um,
wow.
so yeah,
So is that the same city? Like it's the same city on both sides of the border?
it's the same city, but it is divided by a border.
Right.
So technically
Okay. Technically
it's
it's two cities.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
both
Kind of
Laredo.
like Calexico and Mexicali, right? On
Yeah,
on Baja in the Baja.
I think
Cool.
so.
Okay. So what were some of their reasons for doing that? Why couldn't they just stay where they were and do those same things?
Well, when they were in Rancho Nuevo, like that was a small, small, small town. And my grandmother used to tell me how her brothers, she had so many brothers, but three of them, the older ones, would come into the town center every day. And it was like a 4 mile walk. uh, to clean shoes for businessmen, but they didn't have shoes themselves. So they would walk 4 miles barefoot to go clean
To
shoes in
go
a town
clean
center
shoes.
for pesos and then walk all the way back. And I mean, she would tell me these stories, and I was like, 2 of her siblings died from something as simple as the fever just because they didn't have access to medical care or Tylenol. Like, they could have been saved by Tylenol. It's crazy because it's like I've always had access to Tylenol and I've never considered that a big deal. Or as a kid, I was like, it's not a big deal when you're sick. You take Tylenol to get the fever down. And she was like, Tylenol is a miracle. It could have saved the lives of her
Oh,
sisters. Um, so to her, she always wanted to come to the United States because she viewed the United States as the dream country. This was the place that she could get a job, she could pay her bills, you know, healthcare and Tylenol around the corner,
Tylenol.
a pharmacy.
Gosh, we take that for granted, right? We take so many things for granted.
I mean, she loved the library. More than any other place in the world, she loved the library, which is why
Wow.
she took me there all the time, which is probably why I love books so much because I have such happy memories of her taking me to the library over and over and over again. And if I we would go to the library and check out a stack of books because I think you're only allowed 10 or 15, but I would take them home. And if I finished them, we'd go
Same
right
day.
and I do remember that there were 2 or 3 times that I would finish all the books in one day, and I'd be like, "We have to go back."
Wow.
I was so hungry for literature, and I mean, at the time I'm talking about picture books, not like
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I was hungry to learn how to read, and I devoured those books, and she encouraged it.
That's so incredible. I love when you were talking about them going to clean shoes. Um, my dad was the same way. He was a shoe shine boy. He grew up in Obregon and Hermosillo, Sonora. And, he had a shoe shine kit, and we have it at his house, and that's what he would do. That along with, 5 other jobs, and he talked about not being able to buy himself a pair of shoes.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that the reasons are very similar why he decided to come, and so, but some of those little things that you don't think about, like the fact that, there's not just libraries everywhere. Going to the library when I was a kid was such a wonderful thing that I loved, and
yeah,
I never thought about the fact that my dad didn't have a library to go to, he couldn't just go to the library.
yeah, it's so funny because, she married a military man, they had 5 kids, she while she like, when they first got married, she kept working. She was mending clothes, doing laundry, cleaning houses, like anything, any single job that she could find, she would do. She would work all day long, and she would send all that money back to Mexico, and she put her twin brother through medical school,
Oh, that's
cleaning houses
incredible.
and doing laundry while she was
Wow.
raising 4 children because the 5th didn't come till later. Um, and then when my grandfather died in the Vietnam War, my grandmother moved to Abilene, Texas because they were living in Kansas at that point. So she was a single mom. She was pregnant with number 5. She had 4 kids, husband dies, and someone is like, "You should go to Abilene Christian University because A, it's closer to Mexico, closer to your family, but also B, it's an Abilene Christian University." And my grandmother was very religious and she just felt it was a sign from God. She went there. She went to ACU the second day she was in Abilene, and she said, "I would like to go to college here. I would like to get a degree in education." And they're like, "Can we see your high school transcripts?" And she's like, "I
Uh,
don't have those." She
oh
was
my
like, "We
goodness.
don't have transcripts in Mexico."
Yeah.
So they're like, "Okay, we'll give you 1 semester on trial," or not trial, but,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll give you a trial run. And within 3 years, she graduated not with a bachelor's, but also with a master's
What?
in education, and she became a diagnostician for the
Oh,
Abilene Independent School District, and it's like,
what an amazing lady. That's
well, with 5
incredible.
kids,
With
sometimes
5 kids,
I'm like,
yeah.
"I don't know if you can do that in 3 years," but
Oh,
that according to her, that it was 3 years, and I'm like, "Okay."
that's amazing. That's so
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
Wow. Well, I love that, and I loved her in this book, I absolutely love her. I mean, just for rescuing you, for there are times that I'm reading and I'm going, "Oh my gosh, why? Just go live with abuela, or abuela, I just want her to show up on your
Yeah.
doorstep and say, 'I'm sorry, I'm taking you,'" you know?
Yeah.
Are there reasons why she didn't do that? Like, there are times where I thought during the book, like, she has to know that these terrible things are going on for you.
Yeah,
Is
she
there a
knew.
reason she didn't show up and, like, just take you?
Welcome to America. She couldn't.
Ugh, she
She
couldn't,
she
yeah.
called CPS on my mom so many
Oh, she
times.
did.
She
Wow.
denied it. She denied it. But
Yeah.
here's the thing is that my mom used me and my brother as bargaining chips. If you want to see these kids, you will do blank. Meaning,
Mm.
if you want to see these kids, you're going to pay my rent this month. If you want to see these kids, I need new furniture. If you want to see these kids, like I was to my mom a bargaining chip
Wow.
to coerce my grandmother into helping out. Now, my mom didn't always do it like directly for financial, because it was never financial gain. It was more last resort. It was like,
Mm,
I haven't worked in 6 months. We have no money.
right.
I need to feed myself, but also, I mean, here's the thing. I'm sure my mom loved me in her own way,
Yeah.
because I do remember arguing with her saying, "Why can't I go live with Catalina?" I was like, "You're
Mhm.
obviously poor. I'm obviously a burden to you." And she's like,
Just let
"You're
me
my
go.
kid. You're my kid. No, you
Hmm.
can't go live with her. You're my kid."
Yeah.
And
She wanted you.
she hated her mom. She was
Oh,
like
wow.
everyone thinks she's an angel. She's not. She's a monster. And I was like, "Okay."
Sure.
Yeah.
So, do you is your mom still around? She's still alive?
Yep.
Do you have any relationship with her? Not at all.
Both
Okay.
my parents are alive, and I have no relationship with
Yeah.
either of them.
Well, and after reading about your time with your dad, yeah, I'm not
Uh,
surprised about that.
well, to
And
be fair, in my 20s, I tried. I tried to have a relationship with both
oh,
of them separately because they're haven't been together since I was 5.
right.
Uh, nah, they're just not really interested, and I'm like,
Wow.
I gave up on that a while back. I
Yeah.
was just like,
Yeah.
"I'm
Well,
good."
and I'm glad. I feel like sometimes we just need distance from, I well, tell me how you feel about this.
Yeah.
People that have done really horrible things to you. Are you able to forgive that and just move on with your life completely? Do you feel like you have?
Catalina, my best name,
Mhm.
when I was in college, uh, you know, just like 2 years after being homeless, I mean, I was having vicious, vicious panic attacks because basically she got me off the street, got me into college. Within 7 days of getting me off the street, I was enrolled at Abilene Christian University because she loves that school.
Yes.
But I was also working 2 jobs because I was like, "You're not paying for this. This is my education. I will pay for it." And so I was working 2 jo so I never processed anything that happened, and about a year and a half later, I had transferred to the University of Texas in Austin. I was working at Chewy's Tex-Mex restaurant on a Friday night and thought I was having a heart attack. I got tunnel vision, my heart was beating, I was sweating, I couldn't feel my arms, it was like pins and needles. I went outside in the parking lot and I laid down and I just, like, they weren't seizures, but I was just, like, shaking
Shaking.
violently,
Wow.
and I was rushed to the emergency room. They're like, "There's nothing physically wrong with you, it's a panic attack." And I was like, "What
Mm,
is a panic attack?" Um, and, I had many deep conversations with Catalina, and I was just like, "I hate my parents, I hate them so much." For obvious reasons, I hate them, like, they have treated me like crap my whole life, like, why would they bring me into this world and then abandon me? And she's like, "You have to forgive them." She's like, "All this hate and anger that you have in yourself," she's like, "The only one you're hurting is you." And so I forgave both of them, like, before I turned 25. I mean, I didn't I never forgot anything,
oh,
obviously, I had
sure. There's a
crazy
difference.
memory,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I was just like, "I can't hate you," and, I mean, it's not like one day I woke up and I was like, "I love you."
It's
It was
okay.
more of
Yeah,
like,
no.
I woke up every day hating them and was like, "No, you can't. You have to let it go." And that's when learning about their childhoods really helped me because I was able to move the hate backwards up the food chain. Um, And then in that point, like, eventually, like, when you run out of history, like, at that point, you've got 4 generations of trauma, and you're like, I can't hate my parents, I can't hate their parents, I can't really ha it's the system, it's evolution, it is
It's
generational
just the
trauma.
human yeah, the human experience is
Yeah,
it can be awful.
yeah. But
Wow.
the thing is when you look at it from that perspective, and I wish more people consider this perspective, like, where we come from, it's not just where I come from, it's where my mom comes from, where my dad comes from, where my maternal grandparents and my paternal grandparents, like, if you go back, we're all from somewhere else. We're all from somewhere else. Like,
Yep.
America,
Yeah.
that belongs to the Native Americans. Like, we're all thieves. We're all on
Yep.
stolen land. Like, why are we pushing all of our, not us, why are others pushing the brown people out? And I'm like,
Mhm.
the brown people are the ones who are working at McDonald's and doing our lawns and the garbage people. Sorry, I meant like garbage. The people who
Yeah.
do
Yeah,
garbage
yes,
trucks,
yes.
not garbage
The
people.
garbage trucks,
My
yes.
point being is like my brown people like work all the jobs that the white people don't want.
Yeah.
And why are we pushing them out? Like these are the jobs that AI are not going to take over anytime soon.
No. No, they're
I'm like,
not.
we need our
They're
brown
not.
workforce.
Yeah. No, we absolutely do. I feel like it's a hard thing for people to realize that we are the way of life that we have here, we wouldn't have this way of life if not for them. We
Yeah.
wouldn't have the things that we have and the way that we live, the ease that we live with.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, besides the fact that not looking at them just as workers, but as human beings, as you were talking about with stories and reasons why they came here.
Being half white, half Mexican, and growing up in rural Texas, it was very interesting because during the winter, I could pass for white. During the summer, I was a brown, 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 brown boy because I loved the sun. There are pictures of me. I had blonde, curly hair, and my skin was like chocolate brown.
Wow.
And so I was not white enough for the white people, and I didn't speak Spanish, so the brown people didn't know what to do with me. So I was kind of stuck in between. Um, and that was hard, but here's the thing is that, like, my first girlfriend was black, and she laughed at me because I was like, "It's been really hard being half Mexican," and she was like,
She's like,
"Why
"It's
do
been
you
hard
love
for
black
you?"
girl?" And I was like, "Oh,"
Oh,
and
yeah.
then she read me to filth, and I was like,
I'm sorry.
"Yes, I apo
Respect.
you're correct, you have it worse." Uh, but it's not a competition because I feel like our country treats so many people poorly for so many different reasons, like even being a woman. I can never speak to being a woman, but I have been so close to so many women who have taught me so many different things. And I mean, my mom, I think you may have read about it in Abuela Don't Forget Me or maybe Free Lunch, but when she would pinch me, she would grab just a little bit of skin and she would twist. And I
Yes.
mean, it was like being stabbed with a tiny little knife, and they would leave these purple bruised stars. But if I didn't hold the door open for a woman, she would hit
Oh,
me. I'm like,
yeah.
"Ow, what are you doing?"
Uh,
Like, whenever you see a woman, you open the door for
open the
her.
door.
And I was like,
Wow.
"Okay." And I mean, it took a lot of pinches, but now I
But
hold
you
the door open for every woman.
wow. She
So,
taught you respect and
in her own
consideration for others
yes.
and
So I think, again, sometimes parents do bad things for good reasons, and they're able to reason in their head that I am teaching him correctly. Like, I
yeah.
like, I still have this vivid memory when I was oh, man, I was 9 or 10, and my toast got stuck in the toaster, so I got a butter knife and went to stick it in,
Oh.
and my stepdad, like, boom, like, punched me in the not super hard, but, like, enough to, like, knock me onto the ground, and he wasn't doing it to be a jerk, he was trying to prevent me from electrocuting myself.
Right.
And on the floor, I'm like, "Why did you hit me?" And he's like, "Because, you moron, you were about to electrocute yourself." So, did he go overboard? Yes.
Yes.
Oh, was he doing it for a good reason? Yes.
Also, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
It was
complicated.
it's
That's
complicated.
complicated.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay, there's a part here in the book that it's the part called Scars on page 155. And I'm wondering if you or I can read it. What would you rather? Do you want to read
Ooh.
it or should I read it? I kind of want you,
I'll
in
read
your
it. I'll read
voice.
it.
Would
Hold
you
on.
mind?
I'll grab my book.
Okay. All right.
I haven't read this in a while. Or Scars. Sometimes in class, I forget the board and the teacher, noticing my scars, old and new alike. Claw marks on my arm from mom, a cigarette burn on my leg from Sam, the tear on my knee from a nail in an above ground pool, skid marks up my shins from biking and skateboarding with friends, a knuckle torn from a water bottle thrown, a line in my hair from stitches after a door swing, fresh burns from failing to cook tiny little shrimp. And what used to seem upsetting now tells a story of my life and the things I have survived.
Thank you. That that page just got me. It got to me just because I'm imagining all these things that you've been through as a kid. Um just just all the hard awful things that you've been through and yet at the end, you're implying that you're not upset about it anymore because this is part of your life. I I've been raised to believe that when bad things happen to us or when we go through really hard things, they can always turn to our good. Will you talk about that in the context of this passage? Maybe how that
I
applies?
I just remember, like, sitting in class, I think that was probably my senior year, and, like, looking, and I was like, "So many little scars." But each one was a different story, but each one is a survival story because at the end of the day, I am reflecting on things that I survived. Am I damaged? Sure. Am I marked for life? Yeah. But that doesn't make me different from anyone else because every single person has a scar, whether you can see them or not. Um, and I think I realized that because my senior year, I mean, long story short, a good friend, like someone who was like, we'd become like super, super close. Uh, we were all drinking one night and it was me, him, and another girl who was our friend. Like, we were all just being stupid kids, and he pushed her and she fell and she kind of let out this cry. Now, here's the thing in my head, he had violently attacked her. That was my perception because
Mhm.
of my upbringing. So I walked over and I punched him in the face as hard as I could. And I said, never touch her again. At which point she and all the other girls at the party attacked me and said, "What? It was an accident. Why would you hit him?" And he was weeping. And I apologized the next day. He refused to forgive me. Months went by because the friendship was over. And finally, like before we graduated, I was like, "You have to know that I apologize deeply." And he was like, "You realize that I've never been hit. I've never fallen down." He's like, I don't have so much as a skin knee." He was like, that is the first time that someone has ever inflicted pain on me, and I cannot forgive you for that."
Oh my
And in that
goodness.
moment, I was like, wow, our lives are so different because I was like, I was taught how to take a punch when I was 5. And it's just, and it made me realize I was like, we're all so different and we have such different lives. And to him, that was probably the most scarring moment of his life. And here's the thing is that he had no mark to show for it. But deep down, like, and it's funny because I talked to him probably a few years ago. He like lives in London now and he's like water under the bridge. But 25 years ago, I mean that more than 25 years, I'm old. When it happened, I mean, it was devastating for him in a way that like me getting punched, like was not devastating at all. I was like,
Yeah.
I've been punched
That was
hundreds of
something you
times.
were used to. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're all just so
Wow.
different in surviving the things that we go through, like, Catalina always told me, and I'm sure I've said this in so many books and so many interviews, but she always told me, "You can choose to have a good day or you can choose to have a bad day," which I did not understand until probably a few years ago. Um, And it was after she passed basically that because she'd said it my whole life, and I was like, "I cannot choose not to be depressed. I am depressed." And she's like, "You can choose how you engage with the world and how you reflect." And it was true. I mean, like, one day recently, I walked outside and someone had ripped open my mailbox and all the neighbors' mailboxes. And the first thing that I thought, instead of, "Oh, they've stolen my mail," or, "Look, they've ruined our property," the first thing I thought was, "Oh, I hated those mailboxes. They were so ugly, and now I get to replace them." And then when I told my neighbors, like, everyone was so upset. I was like, "No, this is an opportunity. Like, you can choose to be mad, and yes, we have to spend money to get new ones, but they were hideous. Like, we get to get new
This is a
mailbox."
good thing.
So
I
and
love
that's one
that.
of those silly things where it really is, like, you can make a decision and look at it as a bad thing or look at it as a good thing. Is it easy? No. Does it always work? No. Does it take a lot of practice? Oh, yeah. Um, because we are all, it's so easy to cave to our pain and be like, "I am suffering. The world has put this immense weight on me," but if you just accept it, if you in my opinion, like, what I have done over my lifetime has just been like, you can't change it. Like, you can't there's no point in being upset because my parents abused me. Like, I can't travel
We
back
can't
in time and
yeah,
change it, and now at
yeah,
this point in my life, I wouldn't. Like, kids are
yeah,
always asking me, they're like, "If you could go back and change it, would you?" And I'm like, "No." But I say that from the privileged point of being me now at age 47, whereas when I was 35, I probably would have been like, "Hell yeah! That was
yeah,
awful. Let's
yeah.
change it."
Okay, so I've run into you a couple times at book events, at I think the last time I saw you was in Denver at, what was it, NCTE, I
Yeah.
think.
Yep.
But every time I've seen you doing a signing or, even just running into people in the event, there are people just thrilled to talk to you. And, I just remember there was one video I was making, it was a video about, "Oh, where are LKBF authors?" And so I was kinda, like, sneaking around getting video of people, and I just remember getting video of you just interacting with people, and you were so encouraging and loving and just every author is not that way. Like, I think we know that there are some authors that, you meet them and maybe you become disenchanted because they weren't as nice as you thought or,
Yeah, yeah.
but man, from my perspective, the things that you've gone through, and I could, this is me just making a whole lot of assumptions, but, it has created a wonderful person who is kind, who tries to understand other people, who you're so welcoming when people are excited to see you. Just from my perspective, I just wanna thank you for that, and you say you wouldn't go back and change it, and I know these kids that are able to talk to you and interact with you and read your words are probably grateful that you went through those things so that you can help them through these things,
And here's the thing
which
is and I appreciate all of that, but it's not just what I went through, but it's also, like, what Catalina went through. Like, she told me about her
yeah.
story, and I absorbed that knowledge, and I was like, "Wow," like, people and that's the thing is everyone around us is suffering from something. I don't know anyone who has a perfect life, and those who do, like, I don't know, there's something in their eyes, and I'm like, "You're a liar."
Yeah,
Like, you can't
yeah.
pretend that you're perfect because you're not, and that's
Perfection doesn't
okay.
it doesn't exist
It's
here
okay. None
in
of
this
us are
world.
perfect. We all, even I try so hard to be like a good person, but I have crazy road rage. I have crazy road rage because people are so stupid. And when I say people are so stupid, it's because they're so thoughtless. They think they are the only ones on the road, especially here in Los Angeles. I cannot tell you how every day I see people driving while on their cell phones every
Oh,
day. And
wow.
I'm just like, get off your phone. Like, you're going to hurt
Mhm.
yourself. You're going to hurt someone else. It's
Yep,
thoughtless. It's so stupid.
yep.
But this is this is the world we live in. And so like when I meet people, I want to engage with them. I want to see people because for so long, and I do think it has to do with writing Road Home. Because I feel like there's been a huge shift with me since I finished that book. I mean, 3 years ago, here's the thing. I was in the darkest place of my life. I was beyond depressed. I would never kill myself, but I was having suicide ideation every day. I was like, I just don't see the point anymore. My writing career seemed to have stalled out, which I had been working towards since I was 5 years old. Um, uh, I just felt old. I'd moved to LA and I didn't know anyone. And then COVID happened. And then the worst of all worst things could happen, which is that Catalina got dementia, started to forget me, and then passed. So that just sent me into a spiral. But as I was coming out of it, realized like I'm on this earth not to hurt people. I am on this earth to be nice to people because that is what Catalina wanted. Catalina was so grateful and she was so loving and she always wanted to help people, not just herself. And she always told me growing up, she's like, always be your best, always be educated, and always be of service to others. And the first two I feel like I nailed because I was always studying, I was always learning. I loved reading, I loved consuming stories, not just from books, but from people, from movies, from TV documentaries, and being my best. I always worked hard. I always tried my best because if I tried my best, I could never say, well, you could have done better. And I'm like, I did my best. But the third one, being of service, was something that I never did because I was very focused. I was like, well, I want to write books. And I was so focused on that it was just about me until she passed. And Free Lunch became the first book that really took off. And all these people were like, this is such an important story. And I was like, no, it's not. It's just about my shitty childhood. And everyone's like, that's why it's an important story. And after writing Road Home and being like reliving those 3 months on the road where when you're homeless, you're invisible. People do not see you. People don't want to see you. I live in Los Angeles. Sunset is down the street from my house. I walk my dog on Sunset, every day. And there's a great deal of homeless people, not just on my street, but in this country. And 9 times out of 10, they're walking down the street, knocking over trash cans, screaming at the top of their lungs, being offensive to people, saying the most horrible things. When I look at them and I'm like, they don't want to be invisible because we walk past homeless people every day. We ignore them. We don't want to see that. We don't want to see pain. You know, when you go to Home Depot, when I go to Home Depot and I see 30 Hispanic men waiting out there with signs, coming up to me aggressively, and not aggressively in a bad way, but doing what I would do and walking up and being like, "Do you have any work for me?"
Yeah.
And I want to acknowledge those people. When I see homeless people, I say, hi. Like I make eye contact with them. When I see people struggling to work, I make eye contact with them because I've been there. But not everyone has been there. Not everyone is open enough to be like, wow, I've suffered what you're suffering. And so I need to be grateful for everything that I have. And I am. I'm
No.
grateful. Like when I pick up my coffee cup, I'm like, I have a coffee cup. I can afford a little Nespresso machine to make coffee in my house. Like these seem like little things, but to me, I try to realize how privileged I am and how lucky I am
Yeah.
because a twist of fate and I would have been on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the street, but I
You
mean, I would
were.
still be there and I would be that guy screaming because I want anyone just to acknowledge that I exist.
Yeah. The part that, the second part that really just got to me, these are parts that just made me cry, basically, is what I'm trying to say, was collect call on page 190. Would you mind reading this one too?
Let's do it.
Because especially with what you just talked about, I think this is going to put that into context and how your abuela, how she very literally saved you in this moment.
Collect call. Payphone. I dial 0. Operator, can I place a collect call? My stomach growls a deep, guttural growl, a wild animal that has not eaten a true meal in 5 days. Even starving, pride fought me, allowing only one meal a day to be recovered from a dumpster or a trash can or a paper bag tossed to the ground without care, as though the last 10 French fries have no value. One man's treasure is another man's feast. Shoe flies shoe. Yes, yes, I'll accept the charges, she says, her yeses coming out as jesses. All my strength fails. I am crying, sobbing, snotting all over the public phone. Rex, is that you? Rex? It feels like so long since someone knew my name, since someone cared enough to call me by it. Can you just send me $20? I ask. I'm sorry, I just want to eat. I've been trying to find you, Billa says, but no one knew where you were. I'm in New Orleans, I say. I'm alive. I've tried to find work. I cannot speak. I cannot tell her what's happened. No 3 months have ever been longer. She says, shh, time to come home. That word, home, has lost all meaning. She says, I will wire you $300. Find a hotel, take a shower, eat, and sleep. In the morning, come back to Abilene. I am quiet. She says, please, mijo. She says, por favor. No te gracias. Oh, you got me teared up. I never read from my
There's no
books.
reason not to. I mean, this is I lived a very privileged childhood. You know, reading things like this just makes me so grateful for my parents and um everyone that came before them. I'm grateful I didn't have to go through this, but at the same time, I can't connect with people in the way that you can because you did go through this. And now you are doing so much good in the world. You're doing so much good in the world because you did go through this and because now you have that gratitude for what you have and wanting to help others. So I just want to thank you for that. It's amazing.
I mean,
I'm
don't.
sorry
No,
for
I'm.
causing the for causing the crying.
Oh, it's funny. The way I look at it is, I'm not to be thanked. The universe is to be thanked. Because my abuela got me off the street, and I hustled and I worked hard to finish college. And then after that, I was like, I have a choice. I can either, get a job and, set up a life and be comfortable, or I can move to New York and chase my dream. And so I chased my dream. And while I was in New York City for 15 years working in publishing, which took a long time to get into and was very hard to stay in and grow in and make no money in. My first job, I was making $28,000 a year living in New York City, which is like,
Oh, how?
I was bartending on the side.
Oh,
And while I was in New York, I wrote 18 novels and 21 comic book series, and they were all rejected. I am the
wow.
king of rejection. My parents rejected me. MFA creative writing programs rejected me. All my books were rejected for so long. And I do truly feel that the universe steered me away from writing what I wanted to write, which is horror, science fiction, fantasy, all the things that I read as a kid to escape from my reality. And that's all I ever wanted to write was horror, sci-fi, fantasy. I wanted to
Yeah.
write escapes. And the universe, after so many rejections, pushed me into writing Free Lunch, which was then promptly rejected by everyone. But
As yes.
five,
As is true to form.
5 years later, through sheer luck, a publisher read a piece that I had written on in the Huffington Post. He showed it to his girlfriend and said, this would make a good book. It was what would eventually become Road Home. And she goes, that's Rex. I used to work with him. Here's his phone number from my cell phone. He called me and was like, I know you don't know me. I am dating Veronique, who you used to work with. She gave me your phone number. I would love for you to write Road Home. And I said, No. I have no interest in spending months writing that book, but I wrote Free Lunch 5 years ago. No one wanted it. It's yours if you want it. I said on the phone, "I'll give it to you for free if you publish."
What? Oh my goodness.
And he was like, "Absolutely not. I will pay you for it." But that's I was desperate. I was
Yeah,
I
yeah,
and it's not that I wanted Free Lunch to be published. I wanted anything to be published. I was like,
sure.
"Please, I have 15 books. Take one of them. They're all done."
Yeah,
Um, and it's the universe pushed me into writing this stuff that I didn't ever want to write, but now I've discovered there's a need for it because there are millions and millions of kids in this country. I mean, I have it on the screen of my phone to just remind me that there are 11 million children in this country living in poverty. There are 3.5 million who experience domestic violence, and 4.2 million do not have homes, and 40% of those, or 1.68 million of those children who are homeless, identify as LGBTQ. And I keep that on my phone because I find those to be very sobering numbers and to remind me why I write the books that I do. Because writing these books make me depressed. They give me anxiety. They're very difficult, but I balance them with writing my really cheesy popcorn fantasy horror sci-fi. Like I'm working on a book right now. I was just looking at art for Bubblegum Coven 2, which is about 5 kids who find out they're witches and,
I
it's
love
super cute,
that.
super colorful. It's called Bubblegum Coven because it's basically Powerpuff Girls meets X-Men with that.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
But I write that to help balance out, but I find it necessary because I go to these school visits and a kid walked up to me, this little girl, she was in 6th grade and was like, "I read Free Lunch. Will you write more books like this?" And she handed me a note card and it said, "These are the things I would like you to write about." And it said sexual assault, parents on drugs, uh, teen suicide. Like it was this list of like the most heavy topics. And she's like, "This is what me and my friends live with every day." And I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
I just took it as a sign from the universe being like, "Okay, you're going to keep writing these books because kids need to see not only that they are not alone, but that they can survive."
Yeah. And then that they can come out of this, that there is hope.
Yeah.
And I think you are bringing hope to many kids. It's hard for people who have never been through this to see quite how a book could do that for someone. And that's why to me book banning has been such a terrible thing because these books, so many of them that are being banned, they're desperately needed.
Yeah.
So again, thank you for what you're doing. It's such important work. And I'm super excited that you're writing all the fun, puffy things too, the fluffy stuff that
Yeah.
you need both. And
Yeah.
so for your own health as well, you
Yeah.
need to do those things.
I
So
eventually want all
congratulations.
my public because I have so many different publishers because there's only one publisher who will let me do the heavy stuff. And of course, they're the smallest publisher. Norton Young Reader, I love you. Um, because they're smaller and they're not more risk averse, but they are more willing to take a chance. And they pay me the least because this is the world we live in. Like this is my books are not going to be commercial bestsellers. My books sell in schools and libraries, which do not make as money as say, Harry Potter. I know we're not
Yeah,
supposed to bring up Harry Potter, but
sure.
Harry Potter is a
Hmm.
huge commercial success. I do not write huge commercial success. I write school and library books for
Yeah.
kids who are going through that stuff, and
And
I'm
that's a good
very okay
thing.
with that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I could sit here and talk to you forever. I feel like what you're doing is so important. I'm so grateful that you've been willing to share this time. I do have one more question for you.
Yes, yes. Well,
Because
we
this
we
is
have
the
time to make up for, so if you want to stay on,
That's true. I have to
yeah,
answer the door and
yeah. I'll give you another 20 minutes.
sweet. Okay, because this is the Operation Amigos podcast,
Yes.
I like to end asking, um, and I'm gonna kind of kind of tweak this to kind of reflect what's going on in our world right now. But how can we be amigos with people who we don't agree with, maybe people who we have very fundamental differences. How is it possible to be amigos with someone like that in your experience?
So, perfect example, one very amazing organization sent me right after the pandemic to Boise, Idaho. I can say their name, Pin America. Pin America sent me to Boise, Idaho to speak about banned books. I still wasn't good with comfortable with public speaking. I've gotten much better because I used to hate it. Oh my, I would have had a panic
Mm,
attack having this conversation
really?
6 years ago.
Wow, I wouldn't have been able to tell.
But I went and I was talking to a room of people like us who are open-minded, who are against book bans. And at the end of it, I was like, this isn't what I expected. And they're like, what do you mean? And I was like, I was hoping to have conversations with people who are pro banned books. And they're like, why? And I'm like, you just spent all this money and time, including my time, sending me to Boise, Idaho to talk to people who agree with me. I was like,
Mm,
send me to Texas, send me to a rally of people who want to ban books and let me talk to them. That to me is more helpful. Me as a kid, I don't know why, was always hungry to be exposed to everything. I read the Quran when I was 10 years old because I wanted to understand why everyone in America seemed to hate Muslims. I read the Torah when I was like 13 because I knew it would piss off my grandfather, who was a devout Christian. And, but I had also already read the Bible. And like, I loved going to my grandfather and rubbing in his face that, hey, did you know that Jews and Muslims, it's all Abrahamic religions. The three Christianity, Muslim, and Judaism are all the same. Islam, sorry,
yeah,
not Muslim, Islam.
yeah.
I was like, y'all all have the same
They have
root.
the same roots, yep.
It was like, you shouldn't hate them. Y'all worship the same God, basically. And he was like, he told me I was a perversion and that I was a Satanist. And I was like, you clearly don't understand the books you read. Like, have you read the Bible? Because it doesn't seem you have. And it's a lack of education. And so in that sense, I no longer judge them. Like, I would rather sit down and have a meal with a Trumper or someone who wants to ban books or someone who wants to deport brown people and try to understand them and hopefully get them to try and understand where I'm coming from. Um, and for me, like, as a reminder, like when Abuela passed, like, I was just thinking like how a twist of fate, if she hadn't been my grandmother, where I might be. Or if I had been born with a different dad, if I had had a Mexican dad. And so I have a tattoo right there. This is Juan Carlos. Juan Carlos is if it's a podcast and you can't see, he's got a little piece of hay in his mouth. He's a Day of the Dead skull. He's wearing a cowboy hat.
I love it.
Because twist of fate, I could have been Juan Carlos. Juan Carlos is out there picking blackberries in California. Like this is,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I went to my dad's parents' house in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee because they are hillbillies, very racist hillbillies who did not like that I was half Mexican and were
Wow.
very cruel to me as a kid because I was very brown. Um, but Juan Carlos is a representation for me of the people that basically feed America. The brown people are out there in the fields picking our nuts, picking our fruits, picking vegetables to feed America. And I don't know them off the top of my head, but I have looked up the statistics and how one immigrant worker, one brown person, be him a guy or a girl, feeds, I think it's like 187 families with the
Oh
food
my
they pick in a
goodness.
year, and we want to deport them. And these people are making no money. These people do
Yeah.
not have health benefits. These people are
Mhm.
not making a minimum wage.
Mhm.
And we want to get rid of the people that feed us. But am I saying this as a brown person or am I saying this as an American? I don't know. I'm both. So for me, I have this tattoo because I want it to remind me every single day that A, I should be grateful, and B, I need to help my brown people where I can because for whatever reason they're being picked on. Um,
Yeah.
and I understand that plight because of where I come from. Whereas I can't understand where a black person comes from. And I've dated several black people in my life, and I still and I have black friends, but I do not understand what they go through on a daily basis. No matter
Yeah.
how many of their books I read,
Right.
no matter,
You haven't been in
it's
their
from the
shoes.
beginning. Like I read
Yeah.
it and I was just like, I now understand it through logic, but I cannot feel it in my body because that is not something that I understand. So the best I can do is just try to be polite, to be compassionate, to be kind. That's all I can do. And I just wish
Yeah.
everyone thought more like that. Like
Yeah.
be be kind, to be compassionate, have love in your heart
Yeah.
for other people. See
Yeah. I
them.
love that. It's a hard thing to understand, and I think you're right about just sitting down and listening. I think when we listen to others who especially others who have very different views from our own,
Yeah.
um, it just helps us to gain just a different perspective than we have
Yeah.
with only our own, our own two eyes. Well, thank you so much. I've enjoyed this time so much. Again, please keep writing all of
Not a problem.
the things, all of the fun things and the really important things. And where can people find you if they want to?
RexOgle.com is the first place. Third Rex on Instagram is a great place, but in either of those, you can find my newsletter, which is it's Substack, it's free, and it's just like little ways to kind of take care of ourselves in these difficult times. I try to bring a little joy into the world. But yeah, and I have 21 books under contract, so you you will be hearing from
What?
me in the future. I am
You
very
have
invested.
21 books under contract?
I'm very stressed all the time, but I am writing some books that some are just fun. Some like I have a horror series and it's going to be so fun. But I like being able to put like Mexican kids as heroes, and it's not the point of the story. So it's like I do
Yeah.
write about stories where being Mexican is very important, but I also want some of our heroes to like my biggest problem with haunted houses growing up. I was like, you can afford a house?
Yeah.
So I'm doing like a haunted government subsidized housing, like
Wow.
because I feel like that's more realistic for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone will relate to that,
Yeah,
Lots of thousands of kids will relate to that. So
yeah.
that's
And one of them, I
awesome.
have
Well,
two brown kids going to visit their white grandparents who they've never met before in a small town, and it gets very scary. Is it about racism? No, but
yeah.
you kind of get it.
Yeah. I love that. That's so
Yeah,
great. I'm going to be keeping my eyes open for those. And I love that you had all of these books that were, that were rejected and now it's a flood for
yeah,
you. Like
yeah,
you're being inundated with blessings and I love it.
yeah.
I love it, love it, love it.
Well,
So,
it's all about working hard and
yep.
hopefully changing some minds out there to understand that brown people are just like white people, who are just like black people, who are just like yellow people. We are all suffering for one reason or another, and we all just need to love each other a little bit more
Yeah.
or a
That's
lot more.
awesome. A lot more. Yes, a lot
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
Well, thanks for bringing that light.
yeah,
I'm so grateful for you and the light that you're shining on so many important things and just being yourself.
yeah,
Wherever you go,
yeah. Well, thank you for having me. Stay
good
in
luck with
touch.
everything.
Hit
Okay,
up
we'll
Ray
see ya.
Tercero. I have it on good authority. He will do it.
Okay, I will, for sure. That'll be another fun conversation.
Yay!
Okay, we'll see ya.
Talk to you soon.